To make activities dementia friendly in a long-term care community, it's important that we know who our residents are, that we understand their routines, that we understand what's important to them, and that we take a good look at what they're still able to do rather than just thinking about the fact that they have dementia. Studies have been done that have shown that people in long-term care communities who are allowed to continue doing activities of any kind by themselves or with a little bit of coaching retain those skills longer. So it effectively kind of slows down the progression of their decline. Additionally, when people are allowed to do things by themselves, it enhances their sense of confidence and their sense of well-being, which also helps with their mood, helps with their behaviors. So we, as staff who are supporting people with dementia, want to put supports in place that will allow a person to continue doing all activities on their own for as long as possible. So let me just give you an example of what this might look like. My mom was a caregiver to my stepfather who had vascular dementia. Ken's routine was that each morning when he got out of bed, the first thing he would do is go into the kitchen and make the coffee so that when mom gets up, she has a nice hot cup of coffee waiting for her. One morning, I got a call from my mom in a complete panic because, oh my goodness, today, instead of putting the water into the coffee machine, Ken put the cream into the coffee machine. It's ruined. That's it. He's done. I'm taking that job away from him. So I said, how do you think that's going to feel for Ken when you take that job away from him? Because here's the thing that we need to consider. For people who are living with dementia, they've already lost so much. They have lost the ability to drive. Maybe they're not allowed to hang out any longer with the grandkids. Maybe they're no longer allowed to cook. Maybe they're no longer allowed to live in their own home. They have moved into a long-term care community. So all of these losses mount up, and they have a really negative impact on how a person feels about themselves. So when she considered what this would do to Ken, if she said, that's it, you're done, no more coffee making, she said it would make him really sad. I said it would make him really sad. So what supports can we put in place that would allow Ken to continue making the coffee? And my mom thought about it. And she said, well, I guess I could put a little jug of water next to the coffee maker and have it maybe put a label on it that says water for coffee machine. Yeah, you could definitely do that. And she said, oh, I could also maybe write down the steps, like pour water into coffee machine, right? And you pour in the coffee. And I could actually tape that to the coffee maker. Exactly. So this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. We want to help people retain their routines as much as possible by helping them achieve success in the things that are part of their routine. This is being dementia friendly. So if Ken were to move into your long-term care community, obviously you're not going to give him the job of going into the kitchen and making the coffee for everybody in the community. But if that was his job at home, what we might think about are what are some of the things that we could do that are associated with that? Like maybe Ken's job is that he keeps the cups stacked up next to the coffee machine. Maybe one of his jobs is that he takes the little bowl of creamers and he puts them on the tables. Maybe he makes sure that there are enough sugar packets in the container. So these are the kinds of things that we look at to allow a person to maintain their routine. So in a long-term care community, how do you support a person who's declining over time when the objective is to allow them to do as much as they can by themselves for as long as possible? Again, we want to take a look at what are they still able to do rather than focusing on what they can't do. And let's use the example of getting dressed. When a person first arrives, if they're still fairly capable, I might pop into their room in the morning, say good morning, and say, hey, how about if you go ahead and get dressed? And they will get up and they will choose their clothes and they will put those clothes on and they'll be ready to go. Well, as time goes on, just suggesting that somebody gets dressed becomes a lot more complicated because getting dressed actually involves a lot of steps. I need to think about what I'm going to wear. Maybe I need to check the weather. Would I be wearing something warm? What would I be? I need to then go to my closet or my drawer. I need to be able to find the closet or find my drawer, take the clothes out, actually put the clothes on. So what I do is I start breaking that suggestion into manageable chunks because I want them to still succeed. So perhaps, hey, how about getting dressed might turn into, hey, how about choosing the clothes that you're going to wear today? That piece might be broken into, hey, let's look outside and check the weather and think about what kind of clothes would be good for today. Oh, it's sunny outside. Okay, then let's pick some clothes that would be good for the sunshine. After they have chosen the clothes, then I might say, okay, how about if we put those clothes on? As time moves on, I might need to put additional supports in place. Maybe going to the closet and picking out the clothes that are appropriate for a sunny day is way beyond their capacity. So it's my job to reduce the choices so that they can be successful. Maybe in the beginning, I would just have the summery clothes in the closet. Maybe eventually I would just have 2 shirts in the closet. So they are still going to the closet. They're still making a choice. Eventually, it might get to a point where I am simply holding up 2 shirts and saying, would you like the green shirt or the blue shirt today? And even if a person only has the ability to move their hand and point at the one that they want, they are still involved in the decision about what they are going to wear today. That is what dementia friendly looks like. At Zinnia, we have activity of daily living videos that are intended to model and help a person be prepared for the activity that we are about to engage in to help promote success. So for instance, we might watch the video called Let's Get Dressed. And after we watch the video called Let's Get Dressed, the person has a fresh sense in their mind of what the steps are in the activity that we're about to do. And it's not that the videos show like step number 1, pick out your clothes, step number 2, put them on. Instead, it just models. It shows people going to a drawer, going to a closet, taking something out, looking at it, looking out the window, thinking, putting the clothing on. So in long-term care settings, it can be really useful to have Zinnia on, say, a tablet that I bring with me into the room. And I say, hey, good morning. And I come over and I join them at the edge of the bed and I say, I want to watch this video with you. And we watch the video called Let's Get Dressed. After the video, I would then say, ooh, what a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's get dressed. So here are some of the mistakes that I have seen professional caregivers make when supporting a person with dementia. One is telling a person what to do instead of asking them to do it. So I want you to think about that for a second. What does it feel like to you when somebody tells you what you need to do or what you should do? For me, it makes me get a little bit like I'm ready to push back, because think about your resident who might be 87 years old, and all her life she has been making her own decisions about when it's time to use the toilet, for instance, or have a drink of water, for instance. So when I go up to her as a professional caregiver and I say, hey, Mary Beth, it's time for you to drink some water. What's Mary Beth going to think? She's going to think, I'm 87 years old. I know when it's time to drink water. So this is where Zinnia videos can be extremely helpful. If I know that Mary Beth needs to drink water because it's so important that she doesn't get dehydrated, and I know that she's somebody who's likely to push back when I make a suggestion, I can say, hey, Mary Beth, I was going to watch this video. I wonder if you will watch it with me. And then we sit down together, we watch a video like Let's Drink Water, which simply shows people drinking water. And at some point, I hold up a drink of water and I say, ooh, I wonder if you would like one. And she's far more likely to do it because now she's seen other people doing it. Nobody's telling her what to do. And she sees that the people who are doing it enjoy it. Another thing that I think we have can be problematic in a long-term care setting is that we are pressed for time. Everybody has so many tasks to accomplish in a very limited number of hours or minutes. And so when I go into a resident's room and I'm coaching them to get dressed, for instance, it is so inviting when they're struggling to put their shoes on to just say, no, I got this. Let me just do this for you. And so I bend down and I put their feet into the shoes and I tie the shoes up or put the Velcro over and I say, there you go. Okay, come on, let's get going. Well, what I've just done is I have denied them the ability to do something for themselves. So as much as possible, we need to really lean into letting a person do anything that they are able to do by themselves. So we want to do things with people rather than doing them for people. Another thing that can be problematic in a long-term care setting is the need to correct someone. So if Jennifer goes into her room to get dressed and she comes out and she's wearing her brassiere, for instance, on the outside of her sweater, well, that's not okay, right? That's undignified for Jennifer to go downstairs dressed that way. So in that case, what I might do is I might say, oh, I see something that might look even better. Let's go back into your room. And then what I might do is help her say, I would ask, I never do anything without asking, hey, could I help with this for a second? Because you know what? You see mine? I've got mine on the inside. I think we should maybe put yours on the inside. So I can make suggestions to try and coach her to do it that way. Also, consider that I show up in Hank's room and Hank has gotten himself dressed and he's wearing his striped shirt with his different striped pants and he looks ridiculous. I need to think about how big a deal that is. So if we're in a memory care setting and Hank, I guess I called him, and Hank has gotten himself dressed and the clothes don't quite match, I want to be really selective about my battles. I want to support and celebrate the fact that he did something on his own. So do I really need to say, hey, Hank, you know what? Why don't we take that shirt off and put on a different shirt? Or is it going to be okay for him to just wear those clothes today? Similarly, something that I see a lot of is that a resident will come outside and maybe they've got on 3 sweaters. Well, I could say, hey, you know what? You've got on 3 sweaters. That's not going to work. We need to take 2 of those off. What's the messaging that I have just sent? The messaging I've sent is, you blew it. You did it wrong. And that's going to make them feel bad about themselves. So instead, what I can do is just say, you look fabulous. Wow. Okay, let's go ahead. And then I am going to keep checking in and seeing if it looks like they're getting hot. If it looks like they're getting overheated, then that might be the time that I say, hey, you know what? I'm getting really hot because I got this sweater on. I'm going to take my sweater off. I wonder if you would like to take a layer off too, because that might cool us both off a little bit. So we give them the opportunity to create this as their own idea. Like, yeah, I'm getting hot. I should take my sweater off. We want to be really careful about pointing out things that are mistakes. We want to let go of perfection and instead just celebrate performance of any kind. In a long-term care setting, probably the most important aspect of making any activity dementia friendly is putting supports in place that will allow the person to accomplish the activity on their own.